April 7th, 1994. It's clear skies over Memphis International Airport.
Yeah, apparently everything's expensive for no reason.
For a relaxed flight. But at around 3:30 p.m., a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 freighter suddenly tilts upward, rolls 140 degrees left, and accelerates into a nosedive at over 860 kilometers per hour.
Can you imagine? I know, like, God forbid, obviously. Bro, imagine being on this plane. Let me move my camera. Imagine being on this fucking plane and you're just, bro, you're flying and your plane takes a nose up. This shit is scary, bro. Bro, if you send me if this is some gay shit, bro, you're bad.
Kiss in the world are my mom and grandma, but there's no way I'd kiss my mom and grandma like I'm gonna kiss this girl.
Nigga. How much that meal cost you? She's like, I gotta know, I paid $9.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's your name?
Emily.
I'm Josh.
Hi.
Can I kiss you?
Sure.
The only girl.
You broke bum. Matter of fact, delete yourself. The next day, get up, bro. Biggest in the world. You're gonna be the best of all time, the greatest. What the fuck?
Waking up in a dream.
Yeah. For a full meal, it's like 17 to 20. Now we got a Zig variant. I think you called me that. Nigga's not no Zig variant. Shaquille O'Neal.
Hour. The cargo plane is not designed for these speeds, but this is an emergency.
Has anybody here been on a plane before?
Moments later, the air traffic control center receives an alarming transmission.
Soon I will.
On board the plane are 4 Federal Express employees. 3 of them are fighting desperately for their lives.
Bro, they had...
The 4th, armed with multiple hammers and a spear gun, is trying to kill them all and turn the plane into a missile. This is the insane story of the hijacking of Federal Express Flight 705. You certainly never want to cross paths with a plane hijacker, but today security threats are far less obvious. Right now, personal information can probably
I'm smelling that shit, nigga.
Not people.
Imagine being a passenger on a plane. That's what I'm saying.
Usually only consist of 2 pilots, a captain and a first officer.
Okay.
But during the 90s, most commercial aircraft needed a 3rd crew member to operate, a flight engineer. Auburn Calloway was the flight engineer scheduled to operate FedEx Flight 705.
Just tell them you have the same idea.
San Jose on
Imagine the guilt security feels every night he goes to sleep. Nah, that ass. I was thinking about that. The nigga that let these dudes through were like, bro, I really let a nigga with a railgun or whatever the fuck he had them. I don't know if did they all pass away? I don't know if they passed away though.
The day before,
I haven't seen this video.
His crew went above
or like,
their
did he save it?
allowed flying time, which meant another crew would have to operate it. But Calloway had to be on that flight. Luckily for him, FedEx let many of their employees hitch rides with other crews for free, so he could still board the flight as a dead
shit, I'm joining.
They usually sit quietly outside the cockpit while the crew flies the
How many
plane.
lives do you think modern airport security has saved? Tens of thousands.
That was not Calloway's plan. The day of the flight, he was the first person to board the plane.
Okay.
He
Was
came
Calloway
with a
the hacker?
standard travel bag and a guitar case. After him came the replacement flight engineer, Andrew Peterson. FedEx employees jumped on flights with other crews every single day, so Peterson thought nothing of Calloway. He did notice, oddly, that the captain's cockpit voice recorder was in the off position. Strange, but he just flipped it back on. Captain David Sanders and First Officer James Tucker arrived later. They said hello to Calloway and prepared the cockpit, but they didn't close the door.
They didn't close the cockpit door, my nigga?
Federal Express Flight 705 took off from Memphis International Airport at 3 p.m. The skies were clear, but at approximately 18,000 feet, 26 minutes after takeoff, Calloway opened his guitar case.
He didn't have a guitar in
pulled
there.
a spear gun
Bro.
out, loaded it, and picked up 2 hammers.
That's Crowley's Ridge.
Did he hit a nigga in the back of the head with a hammer, bro?
You see all those trees there? That's it.
I know it, but I wonder about that. You go win and all the, stuff over there, where it's flat and you cross over that, and I wondered about that. That's not part of the no vacuolar.
I'll do the door open. Bro, you gotta realize, in the 90s, bro, this was before, like, 9/11 and all that other shit. So, like, airport shit was not, like, as, you feel me? After 9/11, the whole, like, shit around planes, all the security tightened up times 10,000. So before, everything was way more relaxed, because, like, plane hijacking was, like, rare as fuck.
Where?
But after 9/11,
west,
they wasn't playing no more.
Altimeters?
9s and 2s here.
After takeoff is complete.
Is he gonna hit, bro?
Do you live over in Arkansas?
Getting hit in the back of the head or with a hammer will kill you, bro. One shot.
Nah, Fisherville.
There's no way. Oh, he's. Oh.
Drawed.
No.
First, Calloway strikes Peterson multiple times from behind. As Tucker is turning around to see what's happening, he swings a hammer into the left side of his head.
Nigga.
And finally, he turns to Captain Sanders, who tries to defend himself, but is overpowered. After the initial attack, Peterson's temporal artery has been severed, and he's starting to bleed out.
Yeah.
Fragments of Tucker's skull have pierced the left side of his brain, slowly paralyzing the right side of his body. Captain Sanders has severe gashes on his head, and his ear has nearly been torn off. All 3 crew members are in excruciating pain and extremely disoriented, but they're still alive. So Calloway heads back to the galley area.
What the fuck?
For the spear gun. While he's picking it up, the crew has a few moments to recover. Captain Sanders undoes his seatbelt and begins slowly stumbling towards the door, while Peterson and Tucker regain consciousness. When Calloway comes back, he points the spear gun directly at Captain Sanders.
Sit down. Sit down. Get back in your seat. This is a real gun. I'll kill you.
I would have just, bro. I ain't gonna lie. There shouldn't be no words, bro. The nigga's already hit multiple dudes with a hammer. As soon as he walks back in that room, I'm popping this nigga. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie. No, I'm not sorry, bro. There's no talking, bro. At this point, you can't talk to this nigga.
He seizes the opportunity to grab the spear before Calloway can pull the trigger. Captain Sanders rushes towards him.
Somebody shoot that dude.
Tucker realizes he's controlling a weapon he can use to fight back. A McDonnell Douglas DC-10.
What is it?
Get them! Please
Is this
Tucker pulls back the yoke.
A spear gun is in like a fishing spear, yeah.
15-degree slope. This makes Calloway, Peterson, and Sanders fall through the door into the galley. They begin fighting for their lives. Tucker, who's flying
Why would somebody do this?
and has experience as a Navy fighter pilot, is now treating this as an active combat situation. The best way to proceed is to engage Calloway directly.
Mental illness?
Because when he's on the defensive,
I mean, yeah, he only has one shot, but that shit's going,
while the
bro.
fight rages on, Tucker rolls the DC-10 left by 140 degrees, almost completely
Imagine being on this
inverting
fucking
it.
plane.
The fight in the galley is now happening on the ceiling.
Nigga,
But
they're
while
fighting on the
Tucker's maneuver was
ceiling?
useful, it also hurt Sanders and Peterson. They're both losing blood,
Oh,
getting
yeah.
weaker. During the commotion,
No.
Calloway manages to strike Captain Sanders again. In the cockpit, Tucker's skull fracture has now paralyzed the entire right side of his body.
Bro.
But despite this, he suddenly sends the DC-10 into a vertical nosedive.
Wait, what the fuck?
The cockpit begins shaking as the speedometer tops out at 860 kilometers per hour.
Holy shit.
The plane is going much faster.
I'd never
No
fly again.
DC-10 has
Deadass.
ever
I ain't gonna
flown
lie.
at this speed.
If they save
And
this
they
plane,
are
that's
not
crazy.
designed for complex
If they manage to save this plane,
At
that's
this
insane
point,
work. These niggas
the
need like
plane's
a
elevator
medal or
wings
something.
begin to shake uncontrollably. If Tucker doesn't slow down, or if he levels off too quickly, the plane could fall apart. Peterson and
Imagine being the
Sanders are now
passenger.
fighting Calloway on the galley's wall, and he is winning. At this point, they're only fighting because of adrenaline. Once again, Calloway hits Captain Sanders in the front of the head, and Peterson has lost copious amounts of blood. But as Tucker slowly stabilizes the plane, Sanders is able to take one of Calloway's hammers and
bam that
hit him with
nigga.
it
Bam that nigga. Yup.
twice.
Yup.
In the cockpit,
Yup.
Tucker radios
New
the
UFC update did not support a lightweight or any good fighter that in the round.
Traffic Control Center at Memphis International for help.
Aircraft with emergency, go ahead. Aircraft with emergency, say again. Aircraft with emergency, say again. Express 705. Been wounded. We've had an attempted takeover on board the airplane.
Okay, my thing is, bro, adrenaline is crazy, saving lives like crazy. Not yet. Bro, how did the dude at the beginning of the video, he said he cracked the first, I ain't gonna lie, the first nigga who got cracked with the hammer, you can't do shit. Bro, the first dude got hit multiple times with a hammer and with an axe. How the fuck did the pilot and co-pilot not be like, what the fuck, and then start fighting that nigga? How did he manage to hit all three of them before they could even react, bro? That's my shit. Like, I don't know. Do they have like loud headsets on or something? They can't hear shit?
Tucker hears the fighting intensify in the galley, and he rolls the DC-10 right to surprise Calloway.
Same line direction to Memphis.
That's why they got locked in. Man, bro.
This time, and it'll be about 12:31 o'clock. Look, just keep talking to me, okay? Okay, we need an ambulance.
You're in contact with going control at the same time?
Armed intervention
Down.
as well. Alert the airport facility.
Armed intervention is the most serious request a pilot can make. The monitor at the Air Traffic Control Center alerts the airport's emergency response team and radios Memphis Approach, who's responsible for landings at the airport.
Express 705, we have an emergency. He's turning back direct Memphis. He had an attempted takeover. He is wounded at this time.
He's had an attempted takeover?
Affirmative. He's north of Forest City by about 8 miles at this time. He's at 1,000, descending to 10,000.
Okay, radar contact.
Meanwhile, Tucker is rolling the DC-10 from left to right, but Calloway is not letting go of the spear. So Captain Sanders hits him over the head with all his strength. Finally, they manage to pin him down.
Good shit, bro. These
At
pilots
this point,
are
Captain
heroes.
Sanders calls Tucker to the galley and asks him to put the plane on autopilot. He does, but the plane is flying away from Memphis Airport,
No.
and no one is answering the radio.
Fuck.
Sounds like he's in bad shape. Okay. Get us back over. I'll try to get him directed toward the airport.
Did they subdue the assailants or what?
They're not sure. I heard some noise in the background. It sounded like he said he'd been injured. He didn't say he'd been shot.
Yeah.
But he said he needed assistance toward the airport.
Despite his
How
paralysis,
you losing that bet when you had the first shot going against 12 inch people? Bro, because these niggas are heroes. I ain't gonna lie. These niggas are on pure adrenaline right now.
Tucker manages to limp over to the
They're
galley.
not even human.
He's amazed
Holy
at what he
shit.
sees. The room has been trashed. His crewmates are covered in blood, and Calloway is pinned to the floor.
Okay, good shit.
Captain
Bro,
Sanders
just kill this
walks
Calloway
back to
nigga,
the
bro.
cockpit to fly the plane back to Memphis, taking all of Calloway's weapons with him, except one.
There's no way you forgot the
He
spear gun.
radios Memphis Approach again and asks for help redirecting the DC-10.
Why don't you just kill this nigga, bro? I'm sorry. Delete this nigga. Delete the Calloway dude. Okay, like, bro, why would they have this nigga pinned down? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Am I tripping? If the nigga's already pinned down, I'm grabbing the hammer and I'm mang. Bro, he's literally almost killed two of the co-pilots already. He's trying to hijack a plane. Am I wrong for saying this? I'd have killed him, not even trying to be. That's what I'm saying. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I agree with you, Fasad. The nigga's already, there's no saving him, bro. He's done.
Roger, I do hear you. You can proceed direct Memphis if able. Expect runway 9er. The altimeter's 3029er.
You understand we're declaring an emergency. We need security to meet the airplane. We'll stop it on the runway or we can.
At the airport, SWAT teams, firemen, and ambulances are ready to approach the DC-10 when it lands. But that won't be simple. The airplane is over 16 tons above the recommended landing weight, most of it fuel, because it's been in the air for less than an hour. Normally, planes simply dump fuel in case of emergency landing, but Sanders can't reach the switches safely, so he'll have to land the plane with the excess weight, which risks the tires exploding upon
Holy
contact with the ground.
shit.
To make things worse, Calloway is still fighting.
Bro, why don't
Sanders can hear the fight intensifying from the cockpit, so at around 7,000 feet, he makes a hard decision.
What does he do?
To level the airplane, place it on autopilot, and kill Calloway.
That finally just
By
destroy
the
that
time he reaches
nigga.
the galley, though, Tucker had managed to pin him down again.
Okay, so finish
it
him.
wasn't necessary. But
what do you
those
mean?
few seconds complicated the landing even further. While the DC-10 was on autopilot, it stayed at the same speed and altitude. Landing it on runway 9 was impossible now, so Captain Sanders had to improvise and use runway
Kill him already.
36
Since
left,
wait is this, I'm
which was
tossing brought the
longer,
plane.
but perpendicular to him. To land there safely, he'll have to turn 90 degrees right and make a sharp 180-degree turn,
Holy
all
fuck.
while descending at breakneck pace. Then, he'll have to land the DC-10 smoothly enough to not blow any tires, and bring it to a stop before reaching the end of the runway.
All while bleeding
These
out.
maneuvers would be difficult even for a tiny aircraft.
Fucking hell.
But for an overweight freighter flown by an injured pilot with
And
a dangling ear and a dislocated jaw,
The nigga literally is paralyzed on the right side of his body and he has to do this. If he does
they're
this,
nearly
this nigga,
impossible.
if he does this,
Inside
bro, the nigga needs
cockpit,
millions and
Sanders
millions
is
and billions of
ignoring
dollars for doing
the
this.
DC-10's warning systems. And in the galley,
If he manages to
Calloway
pull this
is
off.
trying desperately to reach a hammer that's lying on the floor. Luckily, Peterson grabs it before him. He is extremely weak due to blood loss.
I'm knowing,
but
bro.
gathering all of his strength, he strikes Calloway for the last time, stunning him for good. Miraculously, Captain Sanders lands the
Wow.
DC-10 without blowing any tires.
Wow.
And slows it to a halt with barely 300 meters of runway left. The
Holy
first thing
shit.
the emergency response team did when they approached the DC-10 was place Calloway in handcuffs. The crew was safe now, and
Bro.
the disaster had been averted.
How?
By then, Peterson had lost so much blood he barely had a pulse. He was the first crew member to be evacuated and rushed to a nearby hospital.
Please
Tucker,
have somebody that
whose
made it.
fractured skull had pierced his brain, also had to be carried down. Sanders, who could barely walk, shared an ambulance with him. Calloway was also taken to the same hospital, but he was tightly restrained in his stretcher, and he would spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Thank you, bro. He
But
deserved way
why
worse.
Did he do this?
Who knows? Did they all live? Bro, I ain't gonna
Auburn
lie.
Calloway.
To them pilots, my nigga. To those three pilots, hey, them niggas should not have to work a day ever again in their life. Them niggas should at least get about $50 million each in restitution. I'm gonna be real. Because the shit they did, a lot, bro. 99% of niggas on Earth are not capable of doing what they did.
Calloway had a good life once, but it didn't last. His family was not rich, but he worked his way into Stanford, where he majored in African and African American studies.
That weak ass major.
After this, Calloway joined the Navy, became a talented pilot, and started a family.
They
Things
got
were
a
looking
family?
good, but when his military career came to an end, Calloway applied for a job at Federal Express. Even though he was a qualified pilot, they only offered him a lower-paying
Bro,
job
skull
as a
splinter in your
flight
brain is
engineer.
fucked. I know.
Calloway believed FedEx had discriminated against him because of his race, but he didn't complain. He needed the job. This is where his life began spiraling out of control. Calloway was clearly unhappy working for FedEx, and after a few years, he and his wife got divorced. Although
wonder
his
why she
job
divorced
didn't
you,
pay
weirdo.
enough to send their 2 children to college, he was still supporting them. But in 1994, FedEx found that when Calloway first applied for the job, he had exaggerated the number of flight hours on his resume, and he was sure the company would fire
Hold up.
him.
I'm gonna read from my
Before
protein shake.
this, Calloway thought he wouldn't be able to support his children's education. Now his career was over. He was completely useless to them. Unless he died. As a Federal Express employee, Calloway was entitled to a life insurance policy worth $2.5 million in the event of his death during a work-related accident. That money would guarantee a much better life for his children than he could ever give them through honest work. And so, he prepared a sinister plan. Calloway was scheduled for a disciplinary hearing with FedEx on April 8th. The day before, he would smuggle 4 hammers, a knife, and a spear gun into a flight. He would attack the crew, take control of the plane, and crash it.
Bro.
When the wreckage was found,
Yeah, I just heard why he did it. Bro, the nigga did it because he couldn't afford to pay his children's college expenses, and if he died at work, they would have got $2 million. That might be one of the most selfish things I've ever heard in my life, bro. All those people on that plane, nigga, the pilots, nigga, what do they call them? The flight attendants, bro. They all have families, all have lives, shit they gotta do. And you're gonna be like, oh fuck everybody else's life on this plane. Mine's the most important. I want my kids to be able to go to college. Nigga. Really, bro? This nigga's a piece of shit.
The blows from the hammers would be indistinguishable from the crew's other wounds, ensuring the crash appeared like an accident. If everything went according to plan, Calloway's family would receive $2.5 million. But the day before, family like an accident. If everything went according to plan, Calloway's family would receive $2.5 million. But the day before the flight, he was forced to improvise. Another crew would operate the flight, and he would have to board the plane as an extra passenger. Instead of 2 other people, he would have to take down 3. Tougher, but he was determined. On the morning of April 7th, 1994, Calloway left his will on his bed, packed his weapons, and made his way to Memphis International Airport. He was carrying a note for his ex-wife, which read, "I would much rather go on a date, time, place, and a method of my own choosing. I resolved some time ago that the next time my security and future is threatened or seriously jeopardized, it's time, my time, to go." Fighting Calloway, maneuvering the aircraft, and landing it safely like Peterson, Tucker, and Sanders did was an incredible feat, especially considering their traumatic injuries. Tucker needed 3 major operations and 2.5 years of therapy to learn how to walk and talk, and no one from the crew was ever medically fit to fly again.
I can't even blame him, bro.
On the bright side, the event made them great friends. And in May of 1994, they received the Airline Pilots Association Gold Medal Award for heroism.
Hey, get these niggas some bread, bro.
It's the highest honor a civilian pilot can receive. Meanwhile, Calloway was charged with attempted aircraft piracy, for which he pleaded temporary insanity. He was found guilty and is currently serving 2 consecutive life sentences in a federal prison without the chance for parole. Calloway's intention was to cause an accident. Several people, including members of the crew, believe he would have crashed the plane into the FedEx headquarters in Memphis International, doing untold damage to the company and taking countless lives with him.
No way, bro.
He was supposed to have boarded the flight that day with his usual crew, 1 other man and a woman. Considering that he was 6'2" and a black belt in martial arts, and armed, it's reasonable to assume that he would have succeeded. But this crew exceeded their 8 hours of daily allowed flight time by 1 single minute. 60 seconds. Because of that, Auburn Calloway was on board with Andrew Peterson, James Tucker, and David Sanders. It's only thanks to their heroic deeds and this remarkable coincidence that one of the most disastrous events in aviation history was narrowly avoided.
Holy shit, my nigga. I want to see the bank robbery. Gonna watch that tomorrow. Dude's paralyzed. Oh, he's paralyzed? Oh shit, I ain't gonna lie, I was okay. Like, I was just thinking, like, holy shit. They'll never be the same, all 3. Yeah, I mean, they had fucking brain skull fractures going into their fucking head, which is actually like, bro. That's, oh wait, I kind of want to watch this. I kind of want to watch the Uvalde, can I even say school?